Everything looks good. Gotta make sure we're able to sync in our audience here. Hang on 1 second, guys. We're gonna start in about 60 seconds, 90 seconds. Just give you guys a heads up. All right, everything seems to be going good. We're connecting. That's good. All right. Looking good. Okay. Yeah, we pretty much got us a show. I'm just taking some last minute steps here. Just want to make sure everything looks good. All right. That looks good too. Actually, 1 second. All right, guys, we're getting ready to start. Sit tight. About 20 more seconds. We can go ahead and start. All right, we got a show. Let's do it.
Warning, the RCWR show with Lee Sanders is intended for a mature audience only. The following is an Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive. Covering the latest in wrestling and beyond since 2011. You're listening to the RCWR show. Now, your host, live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Hey, for Monday night of December 28th, 2020. What's going on, guys? It's a all new The RCWR show. It's the final episode of The RCWR show for this calendar year of 2020. Covering all things wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. Thank you guys so much that are tuning in live right now. I do appreciate those of you. You have no idea, because we're still kind of dealing with a little bit of jet lag there from that Christmas holiday. Some of you guys are still on a little bit of an extended break. I know there's definitely those of you that got yourself a nice little mini vacation going on, because this is the week that we're going into New Year. So some of you guys been saving up some of that PTO, some of that sick leave and all that. You're burning through it right now. So if that's you and you're spending part of your nice little mini vacation checking out the show live, do appreciate you as always. Hope the Christmas holiday was good for you. It was definitely good for the Sanders household. If you're following me on social media, you know I definitely had a really good Christmas. You could actually see some of the stuff that I had got and everything. Hey, we definitely got a solid episode planned for you guys. We're definitely going to do our very best not to be all doom and gloom from what I had posted on social media earlier. We're not going to have it be all doom and gloom. I promise you guys. This is going to be a very uplifting episode. I will do my very best. Okay, I promise. We'll do our very best on this final episode. But 2021, definitely right around the corner. Cannot wait for it. By the way, what the hell was up there with that WWE RAW ending tonight? I mean, seriously, look, I don't even need to put a poll up asking you guys, what did you think about the episode? I don't really think that's needed. But if you want to be vocal and let me know what you thought about the episode overall, you could definitely comment while I'm live right now, and I'll read what you guys had to say about the episode overall. We can kind of switch it up and do it that way, but that ending to Raw, that was just, look, I'm all fine for a nice little cliffhanger. I'm all fine for that. But that was just one of those, I don't want to say bad, but if I were to just paraphrase for a moment, that was as bad as me getting one hell of a crucial blowjob. And I am just enjoying it. My God, I'm in freaking heaven. My toes are curling. And I just got the freaking Barry White in the background. And I'm gonna get you up. There's no stop. Girl, I just can't live without you. Yeah, I just got that all playing in the background, and my eyes are just, I'm pulling Undertaker with my eyeballs. It's just going all in the back of my head and everything, and I'm just enjoying myself. And it's just, oh, I'm so close. I'm about to explode. It's coming. Literally, it's coming. It's about to happen. And then she stops. go to the bathroom, and never comes back. And I'm just standing there. What was a raging bull now is starting to become very limp, very soft, and it goes back to its natural state. Now, luckily, that's never happened to me in my entire life. I've never been left hanging like that. But the ending to Raw tonight, y'all would agree, it was like equivalent to that. If you can't relate to something that graphic in nature, and I don't know, maybe you're younger. I don't know. Hopefully you're not that young, because we usually have our show dedicated mainly towards the 18 and up age group. But I think if we want to go with a much lighthearted, so that everybody definitely, oh yeah, I understand that. You're in the middle of a video game. You're in the middle of a very important part of the fucking mission during the game. You're like just a couple of moves away from beating that boss. You got the pattern down. You know everything that you got to do. You've died a couple of times, but this time is different. You see that health bar, I mean, literally, that health bar, just about 5 more hits is all you need to take off of that boss. You just got to survive, put in your 5 hits, boom. That is it. You either go on to the next mission or you beat the game, and all of a sudden, something just happens. All the power just goes out, and you're just sitting there with your controller, and you're just looking at a black screen, and you're going WTF. That was a weird ending to Raw tonight. I gotta tell you. Randy Orton, Alexa Bliss. It's like, okay, so he's gonna set her on fire? Like, what the hell? What's going on here? Lights go out. You're thinking it's gonna be the Fiend resurfacing. Maybe we're gonna see a new incarnation of the Fiend or whatever. But it just goes off with the lights going out. But we see a very small dim light on Randy Orton as he lights a match, and you're under the impression, oh, he's getting ready to set this damn girl on fire, isn't he? Because she poured gasoline all over herself and begged him to do to her what he did to Bray Wyatt, the Fiend. And we go off wondering if Randy Orton actually did the damn deed. What the hell? So that was just... And here's the real kicker to that. We end that, and then we go to Raw Talk. Now, those of you that happen to have Raw Talk maybe playing in the background, or normally you don't even check it out, I'm definitely curious, how did they open up Raw Talk? I'm very, very curious, because was what we saw on the USA Network a little bit of a good leadway into Raw Talk, where it picked right back up, so we can kind of essentially see the true finale of what Randy Orton was doing in that ring? Or did they just go right to the people doing their little Raw Talk joint and interviewing folks? I'm most curious how that had went down. But look, I'm all for a nice cliffhanger, especially when you're trying to entice people to tune in to the next episode. Yeah, I will admit it definitely kind of had a little bit of I always refer to those shows, but it definitely had a little bit of a Walking Dead type of element to it. I would definitely admit that. I'm a big fan of Walking Dead. So as far as, all right, point A, point B, point C, as far as the storytelling goes, yeah, I will admit it was a nice little cliffhanger that they did, but it was just so awkward. At the same time, so damn awkward. You know, it was almost kind of right up there with the freaking Brian Pillman pulling a gun there on Steve Austin. It was almost kind of that type of awkward there. Look, the episode overall, a fairly decent episode. I think with the type of weekend that we as wrestling fans had, talk about a really, really rough weekend, you know, with the unfortunate passing Jon Huber, Brodie Lee, aka Luke Harper. I think honestly this was just one of those nights where, you know what, not gonna put on the critic hat on, not gonna put that review hat on and be all overcritical on the WWE product. You know, right now, come on, this is the final Raw of 2020. Just want to end things on a positive note. Want to see how WWE is going to pay homage to someone that was involved with their company for a couple of years. Now, look, I was here over the weekend. In case you guys don't know, I actually did a breaking news piece about the passing there of Brodie Lee / Luke Harper about less than an hour after it happened, after it was announced on Saturday. And for those of you that had tuned into that, I mean, I think it was a really good therapeutic experience for everybody, including myself, just trying to make sense out of the news that we had heard. So many people were hurting that were commenting during that live stream. And I mean, who wasn't hurting? I definitely was hurting. So to come out of that weekend and to go into tonight, just honestly, okay, let's, we're not being that critical fan tonight. Just want to take it easy. Just want to be entertained. Let's see how WWE pays homage. Remember, one of the things that I had pointed out on the show, I said if WWE were to not acknowledge his passing, they definitely would be, everything would be coming at them very hardly, and rightfully so, on social media. And I think with what they did overall tonight, I think WWE did good. From the moment that, I think it was Chicago Fire or whatever it was, right before Raw came on. Usually on Monday nights, it's Chicago Fire, whatever, one of those shows. So the very first thing you see is Raw's getting ready to come on. You see the graphic there for Luke Harper and everything. And you're going, okay, all right, this is how you do it. Okay, cool. And then to have Tom Phillips say, it's Monday, you know what that means. You're going, oh, okay. And then Drew McIntyre follows up, pays homage in his own way. You just saw little instances like that all throughout the night. Even Xavier Woods having a Brodie Lee armband on his left arm. I don't know if you guys had spotted that. So, I mean, all throughout the night, talents in their own respectful way were definitely showing their appreciation for that man. And I thought with what WWE had did tonight, look, it's probably not going to satisfy every single WWE fan. You're probably going to have some fans that are going to be particularly irate over the fact that a video package was not done for the man. And yes, Gino, this is my Kobe Bryant gear that I'm wearing tonight. I got this as Christmas, and I was a bit surprised when I saw it, because I was like, what is this? I'm like, what is this? I'm like, because my girl knows, I think Kobe's okay, but I'm a Jordan Kobe guy, LeBron's alright. And so yeah, it's pretty badass. I can actually show you guys the jersey real quick here. Let me just stand up real quick here and I can actually show it to you guys. No Kobe logo or anything like that. You just kind of have to, if you know your basketball, you just kind of have to put two and two together, and you're kind of able to figure out, oh, Kobe related. But I'm sure there's probably going to be some irate fans out there that, oh, they didn't put a video package together. What the fuck? They didn't do a video package. Oh man, what the fuck? You know what? Under the circumstances, I mean, look, not for nothing. I'm not trying to defend the WWE brand in any type of way. Trust me when I say that. At the same time, though, you have to be a realist and you have to say, well, this is a man that, yes, although he spent a couple of years working for the WWE, sadly, this man has been away from WWE for a significant period of time. And, it's for what WWE did, that on top of every single superstar on the WWE payroll all weekend long being very vocal throughout social media about some of their fondest memories on Brodie Lee / Luke Harper. I mean, take your pick. I mean, just unanimous, just overwhelming love, support, appreciation, and respect for that man. The love that went the way towards his wife and kids. I mean, probably one of the individuals that stood out to me the most was Big E. I'm not sure how many of you guys follow Big E on social media, but Big E, if there was anybody that really, really took it hard, it was definitely Big E. I mean, there were numerous posts. And if you're not following that many people, you'd be able to see literally every single thing that Big E was putting out there. And Big E was just sharing funny stories, memories after memories, photos here and there. So many WWE superstars going into tonight. Very vocal. Very vocal. WWE, to its credit, posting their own little editorial piece, doing some playlist highlights of Luke Harper's tenure with the company. Honestly, all of that combined with what they did tonight during the 3-hour broadcast, I'm actually okay with that. Gino, thank you. Sadly, my birthday was 2 weeks ago? Bear with me a second here, Gino. Yeah, Gino, my birthday was essentially almost 2 weeks ago, but I appreciate that. I appreciate the belated birthday wish. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. By the way, in case you guys, I guess I don't feel like plugging it. I don't feel like plugging it because I did all the heavy plugging the week of, so I'm not going to plug it again. But yeah, it was definitely 2 weeks ago. I was getting ready to plug something else. It was kind of related to me and the show and all that, but I'm not going to plug it. But anyway, so yeah, for me personally, teach its own. I know there's probably going to be some fans that's going to be a little bit upset. I don't know if you really take comfort in this from what I'm getting ready to tell you guys, but look, AEW, they are dedicating, per Tony Khan, they are dedicating an entire 2-hour broadcast of Dynamite in memory of Brodie Lee this week. So, I don't think that WWE ever had in the back of their mind, well, AEW is going to do something, so we really don't need to do that much. I don't think that was on their brain at all. I just think, okay, look, what are we going to do? How are we going to? And just everything that they did from over the weekend to now, I'm good with what they did. And I really hope that the majority of you fans are, and I saw from what most people were saying on social media tonight, most people were actually pleased with what they had did for Luke Harper / Brodie Lee tonight. Most people were happy. You had a few people that were kind of stirring the pot a little bit, and it's kind of one of those things where, okay, you know what, now isn't the time to even do any of that. Come on, man hasn't even been buried yet. Let's not. What the hell was that? Oh, we got a follower apparently. Okay. Super chat. Gino, you scared the shit out of me, Gino, with the super chat there. Gino with the super chat. Appreciate that. Thank you, buddy. What is going on there with the notifications there? I gotta see if I can clean that up a little bit there. I'll look into that while we're on a well-deserved break there, for sure. On a well-deserved break. But really, I hope most of you guys, from what I saw on social media, most people were actually okay with what all had went down. So, that's good. We'll definitely talk a lot more Luke Harper, Brodie Lee in just a hot minute. Let's just go over some key points with regards to tonight's WWE RAW, though. So, obviously, we told you about what went down there between Randy Orton and Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss playing the psychological mind games there. She learned from the very best, did she not? She learned from the best there, and Bray Wyatt, the Fiend there. There's really nothing else that we need to revisit in regards to that one. So we can pretty much keep that one rocking and rolling. Let's see. Kicking off the night, Drew McIntyre, Keith Lee, and Sheamus. So remember how Raw had ended last week. Now this pretty much comes to a head
the opening up Monday Night Raw. Great seeing Keith Lee in the mix there once again. Here he is in this position where, all right, he's getting a little bit of a rub from the WWE World Champion, and he's getting a little bit of a rub from a former World Champion in Sheamus, one of the baddest, hard-hitting dudes that company has. And you're like, okay, this is great that he's getting a nice little bit of a rub there. But I don't know what's going on, but there's a part of me that is starting to feel a little bit concerned about Keith Lee. And what I mean by that is, it feels as though Keith Lee, that magic carpet ride from NXT, maybe you could even say those first 2 months that Keith Lee was on the main roster, it's really feeling as though something is changing, and in this case, not for the better, but for worse, with Keith Lee. There seems to be a change in direction, maybe execution in the character development of Keith Lee. I can't quite put my finger on it, but you guys that watch your NXT product faithfully, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I don't know if you all might be able to put it in more eloquent words that I'm able to put it into, but I think we all can be in agreement that there's something that's very lacking there. And I'm very concerned because I'm getting to a point right now where, in regards to Keith Lee, I know what this man is capable of. I'm now getting to a point where I'm starting to become concerned about the way he is being booked. Now, let me really make sure that I stress how he's being booked. I'm not talking about the wins and losses. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the character development, particularly of Keith Lee. It seems as though that mad swagger, that natural. Remember how early on I used to say, with regards to Keith Lee, if I were to describe him to somebody, I would say Keith Lee is a combination of a couple of things. Keith Lee is a combination of Junkyard Dog, The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, a little bit of Rhino, vintage Rhino from back in the day. And he also happens to have a little bit of, he also seems to have a little bit of, what was the other personality I use? I'm trying to think real quick. Willie Mack. You just put all of those, mix it in the blender, and you pretty much got yourself Keith Lee. And I don't know what it is, man, but it just seems as though, as far as that whole character development, that connection to the crowd and everything, now that the honeymoon is pretty much over, it's getting to a point with Keith Lee where I'm going, this doesn't quite feel like the same Keith Lee I was watching. Because we all know how it is. When a lot of these cats from NXT get brought up to the main roster, there's some significant tweaks that happen here and there, and it's quite sad, when you see some of that happen. And remember what I had said last week? I said something along the lines of, Jesus Christ, we can be here all night talking about this person needs to get the call up to the main roster. This person needs to get the call up to the main roster. Well, why not call this person? Have this person get called up to the main roster. And I said, you know what? That doesn't mean anything if the booking, the writing and all that is going to continue to be a hindrance for that performer. Especially when you have somebody such as a Vince McMahon at the helm that's pretty much dictating, no, this is what we're going to do. So I'm starting to have trepidations for Keith Lee there. It doesn't mean I do not like Keith Lee. I still, God, to the moon and back. I'm still a big fan, big supporter of Keith Lee. But yeah, I'm really, really starting to get a bit concerned for him there. And look, obviously he won this number one contenders match tonight because it was Keith Lee versus Sheamus. Winner goes on to face Drew McIntyre for his championship. That's going to be going down on next Monday's WWE Raw. All right, so, on the one hand, you're going, hey, this is pretty good, but does anybody truly think that Keith Lee is going to come out next Monday as the new WWE champion? I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen at all. What I could see honestly happening is two scenarios. Either a very peed off, jealous Sheamus somehow takes advantage of a distracted referee or a knocked out referee. Bro kicks the shit out of Keith Lee, helps Drew McIntyre pretty much retain the title that way. Sheamus, Keith Lee continue their own little mini feud, but now you have there be a great divide between Drew and Sheamus, and you can't help but wonder, okay, so what's the path for Drew going into this year's WrestleMania? Is the path for Drew going into WrestleMania him defending that title against his best buddy Sheamus? Because if that's the story, if that's kind of the direction that we're going, and look, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the direction we're going, because if you took the time out to watch the Broken Skull Sessions joint, you kind of got the impression that, wouldn't put it past WWE to do something with Sheamus and Drew. And not for nothing, but there's no fans in attendance right now, so they can pretty much get away with this shit. Most of us may not like, oh man, Drew and Sheamus. You got a lot of people that feel a certain way about Sheamus. They feel very indifferent when it comes to Sheamus. But now that you don't have fans in attendance at these studio shows that they're doing, we should get to a point when it comes to WWE Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. We should just kind of pull a page out of the vintage TV shows that used to come on back in the day. All in the Family was taped before a studio audience, and you're like... And I remember for the longest time, I would pick my girl's brain on that. She's like, I would say to her, it's kind of interesting. They say that this show was taped before a studio audience. So does that mean that the show was taped before an audience and they added a laugh track after the fact? Or does it mean it was taped before a studio audience, meaning it was taped in front of a studio audience? And she goes, that's a good question. Well, some of the shows from back in the day, and she told me a few shows, like they actually used to say taped in front of a studio audience. So when you hear that whole, just something to kind of think about, not to kind of get too far off track there, but it's an interesting situation that we're in right now with a lot of these wrestling promotions that are doing what they're doing without fans in attendance. And only real gauge that they have as far as, well, what do they think about this talent? Well, what do they think about this rivalry? What do they think about this story arc? The only real thing that they have as a gauge is the social media, the forums, and all that other stuff right now. That's really the only thing that they have when you really kind of take a step back and you think about it. So, look, either Sheamus is going to do like I suggested a few minutes ago, and that goes down, or, I'm thinking if there might be a or. Yeah, I'm just not seeing Keith Lee, no way in hell, come out of that. I still feel in my heart of hearts, though, with the exception of this Sheamus feud for Keith Lee, I still feel as though Keith Lee just needs to be far removed from it as possible. Why we do not have Keith Lee feuding there a bit with the Hurt Business is beyond me. Hurt Business is MVP, trying to do everything he can to maybe recruit Keith and everything. Why we don't have any of that going on is beyond me. Why we don't have Keith maybe getting a little bit intertwined there with the Retribution thing. And not for nothing, but one could make the argument, well, Retribution is kind of a laughing joke right now, so who the hell wants to be associated with that? And to that I can say, all right, I kind of feel you to a degree, but why don't we have Keith Lee incorporated with the whole Riddle, Jeff, Newt? Why don't we have him somehow incorporated with that? That would just seem like a more better fit for him and everything. But we'll see what happens when it comes to this Legends edition of WWE coming up, WWE Raw coming up. By the way, did you see the graphic for next week's Raw when they were talking about the Legends edition? You see the Hulkster. They've confirmed that Carlito, first time since his freaking releases. Technically, last time we saw Carlito under the WWE umbrella, it had to do with the Hall of Fame. That's some fun little trivia. If you guys remember, him and his brother Epico, they had appeared together for a Hall of Fame induction. Shout out if you guys remember that one. That's your fun trivia for tonight. Don't post it in the chat. If you remember, you remember. If you don't remember, Google or Bing. That's your best friend. But kind of have that going in the back of your mind, because that's some good trivia. You'll never know when that might come in handy. But we see Carlito's going to be there. The one thing that was funny during the graphic, though, was they had Alicia Fox. And I just couldn't help but bust up laughing. I'm going, so Alicia Fox is a legend, apparently. That's news to me. Yeah, that's that's news to me. Jacqueline? Miss Jacqueline wasn't available? The Southern Chocolate Belle there? I love Miss Jacqueline. Who doesn't love Miss Jacqueline? Jacqueline is badass. I'd settle for Jacqueline. That's a real legend right there. Miz lost to Grand Metalik. This was just very, very odd here. Watching Miz lose to Grand Metalik and him losing his shits all throughout the night. But then interesting turn of events for the Miz going into 2021. We saw Adam Pearce approach Miz and Morrison after Miz had this heartbreaking defeat to Grand Metalik much later in the night. It's almost towards the end of the show. Adam Pearce revealed that after checking with upper WWE management, the Money in the Bank briefcase actually does need to go back to the Miz. And Miz thought Adam was pulling his leg a little bit, but he actually wasn't. As per the rules, the only person that can actually cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase is the person that actually won the briefcase. So in this case, Morrison turning it in, yeah, he had no business doing that. So Miz, once again, is your Money in the Bank briefcase holder. Look, if this was the plan for WWE all along, okay, cool. Because, I mean, look, most of us, and I definitely was pretty vocal about it, it definitely seemed very uncharacteristic. If you guys remember, some of the exact words I used there was, okay, we've seen Miz win this before. We've seen how conniving and manipulative Miz can be at many times throughout his career. And I told you guys, I wouldn't call Miz a ultimate opportunist like Edge, but he is very savvy in his own respected right. And I told you guys it felt very uncharacteristic of the way that Money in the Bank briefcase was cashed in and everything. Look, if this was WWE's plan all along, just to sort, okay, great. If you were to tell me, hey, nah, this wasn't their plan all along, and there was actually a little bit of backlash that they noticed on social media, and you know, it kind of feels to me, if I were to just kind of go with my gut instincts, it kind of feels to me this was the plan all along. So I would say, as far as stories to look out for in the next coming days, whether or not this was the plan all along or social media feedback, I'm going with this was the plan all along. Now, does this mean Miz is going to ultimately become a new world champion? I feel, and I told you guys a couple of weeks ago, I said at least 2 weeks ago, that if Miz were to somehow get this briefcase back, then you can guarantee he's going to become a world champion. I told you guys that, and I'm still very confident in that. I still feel that's exactly going to be the case. Other matchups for tonight. Dana Brooke was in action against Shayna Baszler. Shayna picking up the win there. I got nothing to say. I got nothing to say about that match. It went about barely 4 minutes. It was decent for what it was worth. But then you can really sink your teeth into. AJ Styles taking on Elias. AJ picking up the win. Those guys pretty much went off to a little bit of a slow start there, but what was the point in this match? It was a good match, but what was really the point here with this matchup? I can't help but wonder what exactly is going on with Elias going into 2021. What exactly is going on with AJ Styles going into 2021? I'm a little bit concerned there for both of those guys. Just felt so random to see essentially two bad guys just boom, instant Acme feud. Felt very weird seeing that one go down. Ricochet taking on Mustafa Ali. I'll say this. There's no denying that with regards, and by the way, I do see what you guys are saying in the chat, so don't think I'm ignoring you guys. I am actually reading what you guys are saying in the chat in real time. Of course, if there's something that links directly with what I'm talking about, I'll definitely show you some love. But otherwise, just kind of take that, put it in the back of your mind. I'm not ignoring you guys. I see what you guys are saying as always. But of course, I see we got a decent amount of people that's checking out the show live. So, I mean, look, worst case scenario, you pop in the chat, you're saying hello and everything. Interact with each other. You do got that going on as well. You can always feel free to utilize that. But look, I'll say this, and I've always said this consistently. Ali, Ricochet, great chemistry together. This match, it was good. I'll definitely say it was good match between the two of these men. And I did actually see what happened with Ricochet there in that little speech that he gave on Raw Talk from last week. And I know a lot of people were making fun of Ricochet, calling him a crybaby, calling him soft and all this other shit. But this has to be the one case where I would say, nah, you know what? In the case of what I saw, and if you didn't watch Raw Talk from last week, go out of your way and watch it. And this was probably the one time where I'm looking at Ricochet and I'm hearing what he's saying and I'm going, okay, you know what? Damn it, this dude is showing me some personality. I am connecting here, legit, with his character and the struggles that this man has been going through pretty much all calendar year, but especially towards the tail end here, dealing with Mustafa Ali and Retribution. And, you're looking at that from Raw Talk and you're pretty much riding that going into tonight's show. Yeah, I'm very intrigued. I will say that much. I'm very intrigued where this is going to end up going, particularly for Ricochet. Is this maybe ultimately going to go with him teaming up with Ali, joining Ricochet, and maybe it's actually a case where Ricochet is being a double agent and he's somehow trying to figure out a way to make Retribution implode from within? Is that maybe the grand scheme of plans or what? But yeah, I'm kind of coming around a little bit on Ricochet. I'll definitely say that. We need to do more of what we saw on Raw Talk. Let that carry over more onto the TV shows. And maybe 2021 will be a pretty big year for Ricochet. Yeah, we'll see. Nia Jax taking on Charlotte Flair. Look, man, you give me a match with Charlotte, I can watch it. She's the man. Love watching Charlotte Flair. However, can't really say the same for Nia Jax. My girl had a hard time doing a goddamn leg drop. This is somebody, every time I watch, I'm very concerned for the person she's facing. I'm hoping that the person she's facing does not get injured. I'm hoping that Nia doesn't injure herself. That's just where I am right now with Nia. Because too many times somebody has gotten hurt in a Nia Jax match. And you're going, okay, and in this match, the person that got injured, usually something of a miscue from Nia. And, you know, as we always say, accidents happen. But when X amount of accidents has occurred, and there always seems to be a particular wrestler that's linked to some of these incidents, sooner or later, you just got to show some tough love. Yeah, I'm not gonna even suggest like how some people are suggesting, fight. No. There comes a time where you just got to pull somebody to the side and you just go, hey man, you got to clean that shit up. You keep doing that, you're going to get some serious heat and maybe you might end up without a job. So before any of that even happens, let's start cleaning that shit up now. New Day, Jeff Hardy, Riddle, taking on the Hurt Business. Now, that actually was my favorite moment of the night here. That was actually my favorite of the night. By the way, the little touch there of the clothesline from Woods. If you weren't thinking Luke Harper, Brodie Lee right there, but that was just sweet. I enjoyed that whole tag match. There's one particular match I got to go out of my way and say, check this out. That would actually be the match I would say check out for tonight. Other than that, pretty much covered the main meat and potatoes. We just pretty much went over the entire card for Raw for this week. Now, we did see some Royal Rumble developments that I do want to share with you guys. Bobby Lashley, he did proclaim that he would be entering the Royal Rumble, so he's in there. Let you guys know about some of the other participants that's in this Royal Rumble as well. Give me a second here, and let me pull up the notes here for that Royal Rumble event. Let's see. Bear with me here. Yeah, so right now, we know that Lashley has announced he's going in. Daniel Bryan announced on the Christmas edition of SmackDown that he would be entering the Royal Rumble as well. Now, over on the women's side, Shayna and Nia both tonight threw in their hats for the women's Royal Rumble event. So there you have it. I'm sure as we get a little bit more closer, more names will be added and everything. But, you know, like I said, as far as Raw, I'm not really going to go into this and be all over analytical, over critical like I normally am every Monday night. This was definitely just one of those shows where, given the rough weekend that we had as a wrestling community, you really just wanted to go into this, see how WWE stars were going to be in their own respected rights, paying homage to Brodie Lee / Luke Harper, and honestly just trying to enjoy something. Because if it wasn't what went down over the weekend with Brodie that kind of had you really depressed, it was definitely the crap that was going on in Congress. And I'm going to leave it at that. We don't need to get too, because I'm sure you guys have already binge watching the news, listening to radio programs, political podcasts, and all that jazz. So there's no reason to rehash that. But very depressing in itself, what was going on there with Congress and all of that. So to just be able to kind of just forget about all of those things, whatever personal problems you were having, you know, pretty much going into tonight, it was kind of nice for just a couple of hours, just forgetting about it and just getting lost in some overall entertainment. And, you know, overall, I would say as far as from an entertainment standpoint, you know, this show actually did an okay job. It was an okay job. I'm looking more forward to seeing how Tony Khan and crew are able to do with this week's AEW Dynamite, which we'll talk about a lot more in just a hot minute because we'll definitely preview that. We got some wrestling news, a little bit of non-wrestling related news. So we're still just getting started over here. You're checking out the RCWR show for December 28th, 2020. It's the final edition of the RCWR show. Lee Sanders here. If you guys are enjoying the show so far, do me a huge favor. Make sure you go out of your way. And if you haven't done so already, hit the like, little heart, definitely subscribe, all that good jazz. Helps out. Definitely helps more people to be able to discover the content with more ease. So definitely do that. And you like me, appreciate the show, make sure you show some extra love. You can get at me all throughout social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use the keywords the RCWR show. As far as programming notes, just to kind of get something out there, out in the open right now, this is it. This is the only show that we're going to be doing as far as mainstream goes. This is the only show that we're going to be doing this week, as far as 2020. I'm toying around with the idea that there may be a 30 with Lee that will be releasing exclusively for our Patreon donors. So, but other than that, that's really it. I'm just going to be kicking back, working on some new graphics, getting some stuff together for 2021. By the way, Patreon members, in case you did not check your feeds, we dropped 2 new episodes over the weekend. We dropped 1 new episode of Wrestling with the Topics, hosted by myself and the lovely Tammy. Check that out when you guys get an opportunity. That was good. We went about 2 hours, 30 minutes. And we also released a new deluxe edition of 30 with Lee, where we reviewed the new Wonder Woman 1984 movie. So if you guys don't know, now you know. Check it out after you get done with this episode. Speaking of Patreon, patreon.com/RCWR show. Check out bonus audio video content, great majority of which you won't be able to find anywhere else. A lot of exclusive stuff is on there. $5 get you in, get you boatload of access to all of that great content. Do our shout outs for our Patreon members right now. Shout out to Anthony DeBlasi, Don Tony. Shout out to you. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Shout out to Gino Morgan. Gino. Shout out to Michael Wolf. Shout out to J.D. Davis. I got to make sure that we give him that nod because he privately reached out to me in an email over the weekend because he actually ended up seeing the news that I had broke on Brodie Lee. And he said, "Oh my God, Lee's like some of those trolls that you were dealing with, dog." I was just reading some of the comments. He's like, "My God, there was one guy in there that had my actual fucking name. I was appalled by that. I don't want people thinking that, you know, that's me." And I start getting hate messages and all that. And it's like, okay, I feel you. So, all right, well, what if we just call you, you know, JD Davis? And he's like, yeah, let's just go. So JD Davis, shout out to JD Davis. Shout out to Freddie. Shout out to Justin Restock. Shout out to, there's somebody else I'm forgetting in there. Oh, my man, Tony Bean Gaming. Shout out to Tony Bean Gaming. You want the latest in all things Marvel Strike Force, Marvel's Avengers, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, Tony Bean Gaming, tips, tricks, news, walkthroughs, reviews. I think that's all of our Patreon members. I don't think I'm forgetting anybody else. If I am, you know, I love you guys always. And it's never personal if I forget your name. Old man age kind of creeping up on me there. So let's get into some more little wrestling, little tidbits and some non-wrestling related tidbits. Okay, so look, I'm gonna go a little bit in a different direction here without doing too much rehashing. So look, as we all know, AEW's Brodie Lee, formerly known as Luke Harper in the WWE, real name Jon Huber, he passed away over the weekend. And his wife took to social media and revealed that he was surrounded by friends, family, you know, and his passing was a result of a lung issue that was not COVID-19 related. And to see so many people in real time when I was live on Saturday, and so many people were going, what was the cause of death? What killed him? What happened? You know, everybody was just trying to make sense out of what was going on. And let me tell you something, from the moment that stream was over, I started seeing comments that were coming in, and I am one of those type of people. I like facts, even scientific facts, right? If you want to maybe have a medical, what's the right word I'm looking for? If you want to maybe have a medical opinion on something, an idea, I can kind of entertain that too, to a certain degree. But when we just kind of pretty much throw all of that out the window and we just start going with the whole conspiracy theory bullshit, that's when I just go, yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Sorry. And the minute that I had got off the air with everybody and we're all just coping together over what happened with just that unfortunate news, and we all were in agreement, and it's funny too, because I was talking about this in Discord, a couple of different areas, and I was actually talking on a couple of forums, and you know, so many people were just like, what the fuck? You know, this is right up there with Owen. This is right up there with Eddie Guerrero. This is, you know, I don't want to mention the Benoit thing because that's a completely different beast in itself there. But if you want to maybe mention it while saying, I remember where I was when I found out this news, okay, I can definitely see you on that point. But yeah, the whole Luke Harper thing was definitely a case of, I remember where I was on this particular day when I found out the news Luke Harper passed away. Man hasn't even been buried, and we got motherfuckers that's running around spreading conspiracy theories. Some of the comments that I saw, even on the very own piece that I did on YouTube, and I did not approve these comments because I did not like false information like that. People were saying, you know, why is the wife and Tony Khan, why are they covering this up? This is a COVID-19 related death, and they're fucking covering this up. It's a conspiracy. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, based on what? Like, seriously, based on what? That makes no fucking sense whatsoever. Brodie Lee. So let me see if I got this straight. And you have to go this route sometimes because you gotta fucking pull the stupid card. So you would lead me to believe that Brodie Lee ends up getting COVID and he does not want the information to get out. And so he and his wife, he pretty much forbids his wife to release anything, any type of information. And they all, the Brodie family, the Khan family, management in AEW, they all are working together to ensure that, hey, no one must ever know that Brodie had came down with COVID, because it would just be, it would hurt our business and we might get shut down as a result and all this other shit. That's the conspiracy that some people were trying to run around and say this is really what had happened. Okay, so never mind the fact that Brodie and his wife had been together for so many years, got a couple of kids together. Never mind all that. We're just pretty much, somehow the wife got silenced. They gave her some money. They gave her some hush money. These are actual comments that I actually saw. You know how stupid that fucking sounds? Never mind the fact that there were a couple of times where AEW said point blank during their live programming, this person isn't on with us tonight. They were scheduled for a match, but COVID restrictions. They're okay, but they just want to make sure that they're safe. We know some of you fans may not like this, and we totally understand, but it's better to be safe than sorry. Got to wear those masks, get checked up, blah this, blah that. Correct me if I'm wrong. When the shit went down with Renee Young, Moxley was pulled from AEW Dynamite. He was also pulled from a pay-per-view where he was supposed to defend the title against Brian Cage. Anybody remember that? And AEW had no problem. They had no problem going with that. That wasn't the only time that AEW had said, hey, this talent, you're not going to see them this week because of COVID protocols. This is what's going on. So this whole idea of, we're just trying to sweep something under the rug because, you came down with COVID and we don't want to get now. We come on, really? Do you know how stupid that sounds? Do you know how idiotic that sounds? Wake up. Please wake up. It's not like that at all. And that's number one. That's number one as far as things that pissed me off this weekend. Number one, that was that. The second thing that pissed me off this weekend, seeing these Bruce Mitchells and who's the other guy? Who's the other guy? That fucking Snowden. Seeing these guys with their little opinionated pieces. Bruce Mitchell putting his little conspiracy theory shit out there. Clickbait at its finest. Now I gotta tell you, PW Torch, back in its day, way before I even got into the podcasting game, PW Torch, for me, very, very well respected. Very well respected. That name carried some fucking weight as I was coming up. Carried significant weight. And, I don't know what's happened, but it just kind of feels like maybe within the past 5 to 7 years, it's just kind of gone in a slight direction. And to see this piece that Bruce Mitchell put out, I gotta say, I was very disgusted at some of these conspiracy theories, some of these ideas he was putting out there. And rather than be sympathetic to the fans that were mourning, the fact that you guys, I'm paraphrasing, the fact that you guys are so rattled, you're triggered, hey, I've done my job as always, when it comes to writing, my pieces, sorry, not sorry. That's pretty much his whole attitude. Well, you don't fucked up when whoever it is at the Torch decides, nah, man, you know what? On this particular instance, you're wrong. And yeah, that article, come on, man, let's have some fucking class. Let's not go in that direction. So his article ended up getting pulled. And I think that was the right move that was made. I know some people are going, this guy should lose his job next. I don't know about all that. I think the article being pulled and following it up with an apology, not to the fans, but an apology to the family of Brodie. I think that's where it counts the most. But I don't think that's going to happen. That's just me. I don't think that's going to happen. So that was the second thing. Seeing all those people over the weekend with their dumb shit. Not fucking once. And it really brought into question, how can these motherfuckers that are being so disrespectful to the craft of talking, reporting news, and they want to claim that they are part of the media. They want to say that they're part of the press media. Well, how can they operate in this disgusting fashion? Because when it's all said and done, it's not journalism. It's not even professionalism. It's just downright disrespect. that they're putting out there. Totally unprofessional is what they're doing. And it was awesome seeing so many wrestling fans just come together and be like, no, this type of behavior, it should not be allowed. And, more established veteran members of the press media that happens to be covering wrestling, and they always do their very best to get the facts, get the correct information out there, need to be holding these people's fucking heads to the fire because they were wrong for what they were doing. I didn't see not one goddamn article over the weekend that tried to approach things from a medical standpoint. Not once, as far as what maybe was the cause of death. That's great. We heard what the wife had said, but in a day and age where, well, this person is connected to this person is connected to that person, so surely with all these connections, this is pretty much what's out there. So I had to put my thinking cap on, and I had to go, okay, well, you know what? I got friends in the medical field. My woman being one of them. My woman has worked in the medical field for the past 20-something years. So, sadly, we didn't talk about this on the Patreon show. And I'm kind of glad we didn't, because now it's out in the open, so I'm actually okay. But I was a bit surprised that we didn't talk about this on the Patreon edition of Wrestling with the Topics. But I said to her over the weekend, I said, can you do me a favor? She goes, what's that? Can you get with your medical friends? And can you kind of brief them a little bit on Brodie Lee? And I want to get their medical opinion on what they think could have been the cause of death. Because we've got so many people that are putting these conspiracy theories out there, and not once has a motherfucker jumped out there and said, well, as far as medical options of, what may have possibly, here's the rundown. And she goes, okay, give me about an hour. I'll get the information for you. No problem. So she comes back to me about an hour later. And she goes, okay, I got you some info. I'm still waiting to hear back from one person, but as far as your source, it's straight from me. And I looked at her and I said, you sure you really want to be? And she looked at me cockeyed and she goes, she actually said, motherfucker, I got 20-something years in the medical field. I know this shit like the back of my hand. And she's like, okay, so first off, to your knowledge, was Brodie Lee a smoker? Like, as far as I know, I'm like, no. I'd be shocked if he was a smoker. Like, I don't recall seeing him, smoking or anything like that. She's like, okay. All right, well, here's the rundown. So I want you guys to have this in the back of your head. And don't be too surprised if you see other veteran podcasts going the same direction that I'm going in. Don't be too surprised if you see my buddy Mish from Wrestling Soup in them. Don't be too surprised if you see them going in the same direction that I'm going in. Jason, don't be surprised if you see him going in the same direction as well. Put this in the back of your mind as far as what potentially may be the cause of death, keeping in mind that Brodie's wife said lung issues, nothing COVID related. Now, some people want to be cute and say, okay, so did he have COVID at one point and he managed to fight it off? Can we let the man be buried first? We aren't owed the cause of death. We're not owed anything. We're fans at the end of the day. We're not owed anything. The only thing that is owed right now is to the family. And what that family is owed right now is their moment to grieve, their moment to mourn their loss, make their funeral arrangements. And you know what? Let them decide when they want to talk at a later date and reveal to fans. But I don't think the man ever had COVID. I don't think so. I'd be very shocked to hear that. Think about it from this standpoint. If he did at some point have COVID, don't you think with the way Tony Khan has been so open in interviews on social media, don't you think he would have said something by now? And the fact that he hasn't said anything yet, I don't think there's anything there. So have this in the back of your mind as far as what could have possibly been the cause of death. All of these things I'm getting ready to name has to do with the lungs. Some of this I'm going to mispronounce, so I apologize in advance. But I know that with everybody else that happens to work in the medical field and maybe want to shed a little bit of light on this as well, I'm sure they would double down on this list I'm getting ready to put out there and maybe add some additional info. Pulmonary edema. You don't know any of this stuff? Google, Bing it, but it's all related to the lungs. But again, pulmonary edema, pneumonia, lung cancer. I'd put a asterisk by that one as far as I'm not really sure about lung cancer, but you still got to put it on the list. Asthma, emphysema, COPD. Now, remember what Tam asked me earlier. She said, to your knowledge, was he a smoker? I said, I don't recall him smoking. I don't think he's a smoker. Emphysema and COPD are usually linked to heavy smokers, but usually those conditions will occur in much older folks. So the fact that he's 41, bronchitis, acute respiratory infection. This next one I have tried, but with my retainers, maybe I could actually try pronouncing it with my retainers off. Let's see what happens here. And let's see if I can actually pronounce it correctly here for once. All right, this next one, atelectasis collapse. I think I'm pronouncing it right. I think it's called atelectasis. And basically that is a condition where there's a collapse on part of the lung, sometimes all of the lung. I want you to mainly home in on that one. And then you have pleural effusion. Again, pleural effusion. So it could be any one of those things, but what all of those have in common, boys and girls, it's all related to the lungs. And you got to bear with me a second. I got to put my retainers back in here. These are my nighttime guards, basically. All right, so have all of those in the back of your mind and just say to yourself, you know what? Just a couple of weeks down the road, or maybe a couple of months, if you hear one of those things mentioned, tied into what was going on with his lungs and everything, one of the first things you're going to remember is, you know what? I remember there was a black guy. I think his name was Lee. He said as far as the COD goes, it could have been linked to one of these things. So just remember that. Remember that. When you see these knuckleheads like the Bruce Mitchells and the Snowdens and all these other people that are doing these fucking conspiracy cover-up fucking pieces and all this other shit, remember something. These are motherfuckers that have no journalism degree, did not even go to school to fucking study the shit. Meanwhile, my black ass, actually did make the effort to study journalism. Hell, I was in charge in junior high and high school for my fucking newspaper, my school newspaper. I'm getting ready to go back to college beginning January to major in broadcast media, covering radio and television. Okay? Think about that for a second. Think about the fact that a guy like me, who's been at this since 2011, that legitimately, was concerned about the disturbing news that's out there by these motherfuckers that's putting all these little conspiracy theories out there, when what you really should have just been doing is, okay, well, you know what? Good old-fashioned connections. And in this case, I decided to use my connections to those in the medical field. And I'm told, okay, well, based on the information you're giving me, this is possibly, and I had my girl double down. I said, okay, so, I still want you to reach out to your friends. But I told her, I said, give it to me raw. Are you very confident that your colleagues are pretty much going to give the same list as far as it could have been one of these things? It's like, yeah, 9 times out of 10, that's pretty much going to be the same list. It's going to come down to one of those. It's like, it may not be a definitive answer that most people are looking for, but assuming that indeed it was not COVID related, he never came down with COVID or anything like that, then it's going to come down to one of those. So hopefully you guys appreciate that. And if you did, just spread the fucking word. There's nothing wrong with doing that type of research and trying to basically educate yourself on the human body and health conditions and things of that nature. Nothing wrong with that type of research. But to do all that slanderous clickbait type of bullshit, nah, man, that shit is played out. Fuck that shit. That's just not cool. By the way, shout out to CM Punk and Mick Foley. Seriously, shout out to CM Punk and Mick Foley. They are doing and EC3. Almost forgot about Ethan Carter III. Shout out to all three of those guys. They are doing something that is truly fucking noble. I don't want to give you guys a heads up. So all three of those guys decided that for their store, let's start with CM Punk. Any piece of merchandise that you buy from CM Punk's Pro Wrestling Tee store, 100% proceeds are going to go to Brodie's family. You're like, wow, that's badass. That's fucking badass. So I'm definitely actually going to be buying something from CM Punk's store. Mick Foley heard what CM Punk was doing, and he decided, you know what? I want that to happen as well. For all the sales that I'm able to make in January, yeah, I want to do just like CM Punk is doing. I want for it to go to Brodie's family. EC3, you go to his website. There is a special Brodie Lee t-shirt that he has. If you buy that shirt, same deal, 100% proceeds. So I'm definitely, this week, I'm going to be putting in an order. I'm going to definitely be putting in an order with EC3. I like the Brodie Lee shirt that he has that's up for sale. I'm definitely going to be getting that. And I'm definitely going to be representing with CM Punk and buy something from him. It's kind of funny, too, because I remember that year I traveled to Chicago for the CM Punk meet and greet. There was an exclusive CM Punk shirt that I was able to get that was part of the package for the meet and greet with CM Punk. Yeah, you guys that were in the Chicago area at the Pro Wrestling Tee store, you know exactly the package I'm talking about. There's like an exclusive CM Punk shirt you got that was part of that whole deal. I've yet to wear that. I don't plan on ever wearing it. It's sentimental reasons. It was my first time back in my back in my home city, pretty much back in my home state, first time in some decades. And I actually if you follow me on social media, I just finally put up that CM Punk picture from a couple of years ago and a bunch of other pictures up on the wall had it tied into Christmas, because for Christmas I had got a bunch of really cool kick-ass frames, and it was like, oh yeah, good, I can finally do some hanging. So I got my little Miles Davis playing in the background, and I just got fucking nails all in my mouth, and I just got the hammer, and I'm just and I'm just hanging shit up and everything. And I still don't have enough frames. I was able to hang up, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I was able to hang up 4 new pieces. I finally hung up my Bruno Sammartino piece too. I totally forgot I had my Bruno piece. I know, right? How the fuck do you forget you got a fucking signed Bruno Sammartino plaque photograph joint? Like, how the hell do you forget that? It's like, there's some things that are just stored in this studio that I mean to get to in a timely manner, but it takes me several months to get around to opening it and, oh, yeah, and then hanging it up and everything. Hung all those up, including CM Punk. And CM Punk's got some good company, actually. I got CM Punk next to Steve Austin. Actually, so we got JR, then we got CM Punk, then we got Steve Austin, then we got Razor Ramon, we got ODB, and then we got Bruno Sammartino. And I have found about, at least 10 more fucking autographs. And my girl was like, man, you're going to need even more frames. I'm like, yeah. It's like, I only thought there was a couple loose ones floating around here. I didn't know I had all these goddamn photos. I've still got a signed RVD, him holding the ECW and the WWE title. I got a joint signed by Mark Henry when he was the world champion. I definitely want to put that up. Excuse me. I got a signed Brock Lesnar. And the signed Brock Lesnar one, that one is from when he was the UFC World Heavyweight Champion. Yeah. There's a ton that I got, and I'm just like, God, I gotta fucking hang these up already. What the fuck, man? So, yeah. How do we get on that topic, by the way, of signed autographs and all that? Oh, CM Punk, because of what he was doing. Yeah, so there's a really cool shirt that I have from the CM Punk meet and greet. And it's funny because, when I got it, my girl was like, oh, you're going to wear the hell out of that, aren't you? I said, no, I'm actually not. And she's like, really? You're not going to wear that shirt? Like, I'm not going to wear that shirt. Like, no. And I've yet to wear that shirt. So the shirt that I'm probably going to end up buying from CM Punk's store is most likely a shirt you're going to be seeing me wear from time to time. I will definitely wear out in the open and all of that. But yeah, check them out. Check those out when you get a chance. Have that in the back of your mind as far as the proceeds, where it's all going and everything. Good shit, man. Good shit. If you can represent, check it out. If money is tight for you right now, as I'm sure it is for a lot of Americans that's out there, no problem. Do the next best thing, especially if you got social media. Share the links. Just share the links, and you can keep it going that way. So, getting to AEW real quick. So, as I told you guys earlier, AEW is going to be doing their own tribute to Brodie Lee. And I was looking at how the card is shaping up here, as Tony Khan had revealed, some of the matches that were going to be going down. And if you guys can bear with me a second here, I actually can tell you guys... Hang on here. I can actually tell you guys how that card is going to be looking. I had it on my other phone. Hang on here. Here we go. I got it for you guys. All right. So, hang on. All right, so here's Wednesday's tribute show. Cody Rhodes, Orange Cassidy, and 10 versus Team Taz. Young Bucks and Colt Cabana versus Matt Hardy and Private Party. Hangman Page, Alex Reynolds, and John Silver versus MJF, Santana, and Ortiz. Anna Jay and Tay Conti versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Penelope Ford. Lance Archer, Evil Uno, and Stu Grayson versus Eddie Kingston, The Butcher, and The Blade. Again, that's the tribute show for this Wednesday's Dynamite. Tony Khan also revealed that the AEW New Year's Smash will now take place across the first 2 weeks of 2021 on January 6th and January 13th on TNT. So keep that in mind as well. So that should be a pretty good card. He also said that they'll be celebrating the life of Jon Huber, Mr. Brodie Lee, with a show including tributes and a special card of matches dedicated to the Exalted One. This night is intended to honor John, but also this is for Amanda and their sons Brody and Nolan. So should be a good show. Looking forward to checking that out. I honestly am. Who knows? Maybe I wouldn't say count on it, but maybe I will come on after the event is over and maybe I'll give some thoughts on that particular event, or maybe I'll record something and release it for on demand and the downloads. I could definitely see myself doing that as well. So make sure you set your DVRs if you're not going to be in front of the TVs this Wednesday night, so you're able to check it out live, or rather you're able to check it out on demand. Switching it up, going into some other little tidbits, non-wrestling related tidbits here. Did you guys hear, in the nation's capital, Dwayne Haskins has been released by the Washington football team? You knew that this was going to happen. I got to tell you, I had watched the game on Sunday. The game that they played, it was very winnable as far as I was concerned. I saw a team that looked very disgusted with Dwayne Haskins on Sunday. I saw a team that pretty much checked out. They didn't want to have anything to do with this man. I thought it was a very interesting story that when I was watching that particular game, the announcers mentioned that Haskins had been stripped of his captain status. And, I thought that was a bit peculiar when I heard that. But to see how Dwayne Haskins went into that game and the way that he performed, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that he was released by Washington. As far as I'm concerned, Washington made the right call. Dwayne did release a statement before making his account private. I want to make sure we stress that. I mean, he put that bitch in private ASAP. My time with the Washington football team has unfortunately come to an end. I thank the team and fans for the opportunity to play for the team I grew up rooting for. I take full responsibility for not meeting the standards of an NFL quarterback and will become a better man and player because of this experience. Well, I really hope so. I sincerely hope so, that with regards to this experience, he uses this and he grows up. I really hope so. Stephen A. Smith, he's on vacation this week. He said, even on vacation, I needed to step out and say this. I was totally wrong about Dwayne Haskins, thinking the Giants were foolish to pass up on him in favor of Daniel Jones. I look like a damn fool. You know how bad you have to be as a player and person to be a first-round pick. That's what he had to say. That's Stephen A. Again, he's on vacation for this week. I cannot wait to see how Skip and Shannon react to this news.
on tomorrow's Undisputed. But I mean, it's been the talk of the town here in DC without a shadow of doubt. And shout out to Adam Schefter. Adam Schefter had said that sources close to the situation with regards to Dwayne Haskins. Apparently, Dwayne Haskins did not turn down requests to speak to the media, and that he was informed that Taylor Henneke would be meeting with reporters and he could go home. Haskins subsequently spoke to reporters earlier that night. So, this was a man, when it comes to Haskins, as far as what I saw of him from the few games that he played, he wasn't doing the read options right. I mean, there would be guys that were fucking open. And it's like, you're going back into the pocket and it's like, okay, you know the play that's at hand, and okay, these are my targets. And, it's like he was a fucking babe in the fucking woods. He's just back there and it's like, okay, you got your third target. They're fucking wide open. They got no fucking coverage. Your man can easily pick up about probably at least 20 fucking yards before he gets fucking tackled, and he doesn't see the wide open guy. And right before he's about to get smothered to death by the defense, he hurries up and gets rid of the ball, damn near releases the ball, but the target that gets it, I mean, he's pretty much smothered like gravy on mashed potatoes, not really able to pick up that much yardage, as far as the attempts per carry goes. So for me, that's one of the big things. I was noticing he wasn't really reading his targets in a timely manner. The other thing, I mean, overblowing the assignment. It's like, who are you throwing that ball to, son? Because that dude doesn't play for Washington. So again, who the fuck are you throwing that to? That's going the other way, right? It was kind of like one of those type of deals. Here's something else with regards to Dwayne Haskins. You want to talk about maturity. Look. I know a lot of people are going to be like, he's a kid. He's 23 going on 24. He's a kid. Yeah, but that only goes but so far. Seriously, that only goes but so far. Let me see if I got this straight. While your coach, Ron Rivera, one of the most respected coaches that's out there in the NFL, while he's battling for his life with fucking cancer, and knock on wood, looks like he got it in remission and everything. But, while he's kicking cancer's ass and we've got this COVID that's running around, if there was ever, now more than ever, hey, we got to make sure we're on our A game with regards to health and safety. Make sure we're wearing the damn mask. Make sure we're practicing social distancing and all that other good shit. If there was ever we got to do this. We got fucking Dwayne Haskins going to a strip club. And he's taking pictures. He's got his mask fucking down and all this other shit. It's like, so this is how you're going to do this. This is the game that you're going to play. Really, this is how you're going to do this. You're already under scrutiny as it is. You're under great scrutiny as it is, and this is what you're going to do. I was dumbfounded by that. A lot of people were saying, man, he went out and bought a Bentley during this whole pandemic and all this other shit that's going on. Like what the fuck? For a lot of people, as soon as he bought that Bentley, they were like, I don't know about that. That kid's kind of, I don't know about that one. He's got a lot of maturing to do. A lot. And keep in mind,
that this was Washington's 2019 first round draft pick. This was their first round draft pick. And they just decided, nah, you know what? We don't need the headache. We just need to go ahead and we need to be done with this guy. Look at the 2 years of his respected career that he played for Washington. This is his overall record. You cannot make this shit up. Now, look, I'm not a Washington fan. I never have been. I tolerated them because either close friends, family, or whoever I was dating at that time. My girl and the entire family, they're all Washington fans. So if there's a Washington game on, I'll tolerate it and I'll watch it for them. Hey, when they win, I'm happy. I'm happy for them. I am. But, they aren't my go-to team. There's many teams I follow year in and year out. Washington, it's like, I gave up on them a long time ago. I gave up on them probably about 15 years ago. But check this out. Through the 2 years that Dwayne Haskins was playing for Washington there, he has a 3-10 record. A 3-10 record. Nothing to be bragging about. 2,951 total yards, 13 touchdowns. Not really anything too impressive, right? Here's where things really start to get tricky here with regards to Dwayne Haskins and Washington. It's safe to say they're going to be in some intense battles for these next several weeks, maybe even the next couple of months during the NFL offseason. Because now you got $4.2 million that's up for grabs. Yeah, you heard me right. $4.2 million that's up for grabs. So although he may be gone, we got to now tackle what's going on with the remaining guarantees of his contract. Shout out to the good people over at NBC Sports, Mike Florio, great editorial piece he did here. He said the first question becomes whether the team even cares to try. It may view Haskins' fully guaranteed 2021 and 2022 salaries, which exceed $4.2 million combined, as a sunk cost and not even bother to attempt to avoid the cash and cap obligation. The team could also play hardball, and based on the language of Haskins' contract, there's no reason to think that the franchise could have a case to avoid paying Haskins more than the $10 million he already received under the 4-year, $14.4 million deal he signed as the 15th pick in the 2019 draft. The language of Haskins' contract, a copy of which PFT has obtained, has specific terminology that voids remaining guarantees based on something less than an actual suspension. Check out this key language, folks. Player shall be deemed in default of the contract if player takes action that club determines in its reasonable discretion undermines the public's respect for the player's teammates, club's ownership, coaches, or management. Home in on that specific language. So I mean, this kid could be fucked out of some serious money right here. Haskins' contract also says that in the event of a default, all remaining guarantees shall immediately be deemed null and void. Now, there's another angle that could apply in this particular case. Cutting Haskins for personal conduct that has adversely affected the team would position Washington to argue that even though Haskins' salaries for 2021 and 2022 are guaranteed for injury, skill, and salary cap, he was cut for none of those reasons. That's the approach the Ravens took when cutting safety Earl Thomas and attempting to avoid his $10 million guaranteed salary for 2020. A grievance is still pending. between last week's COVID-19 escapades, remember, we told you, strip club and all that, he got fined, Haskins that is, $40,000. And then you had Haskins' apparent attempt to skip a mandatory media obligation. Eventually he complied, but he was trying to dodge it initially. And yeah, all of those things combined, you can just look at that and be like, yeah, Washington may have a little bit of legal room here to try to get themselves out of this position. So it could be a ugly summer. Well, when it's all said and done, it could be an ugly summer. We'll see. Well, spring, ugly spring going in the summer. It could be. We'll see. Not gonna miss him. Wasn't that impressed with the kid, I gotta say. Wasn't that impressed with him. One other thing that jumped out at me this week, and I definitely was very heartbroken to hear this. I found it deeply disturbing, not to say the least. And that's the bullshit there that went down with this hotel, Arlo. Never heard of this chain before. I'll have to rely on you guys, but I've never heard of this chain before. Arlo Hotel in New York City has come under investigation as a video was shared over the weekend of a 14-year-old black kid that was staying with his dad, who's a renowned jazz player. They were at this hotel. They booked a room. They were there as guests and everything. You had this young woman. I don't know how young she is. She looks like she might be a teenager, or maybe she's in her early 20s. I don't know. But you had this young woman that ran up to this 14-year-old black kid, screaming at him, "Hey, you got my phone. That's my phone." And the dad stepping in, "What are you talking about? That's not your phone. That's my son's phone. I know, I got him." No. And apparently this woman attacked his son. There was a tackle and all this other shit. And you got the fucking manager for this hotel. You talk about poor customer service, folks. Let me tell you something. In one form or another, I have been involved in the field of customer service, customer relations for damn near close to 25 years. I have never in all my years being in the industry heard of such a case where this manager that's on duty doesn't have the common sense to go, okay, wait a minute, let's try to clear everything up, get everybody going in their own respective directions. First things first, sir, you and your son, are you all guests here? Okay, all right. And you, ma'am, are you a guest here? Okay, all right. Then, ma'am, since you are not a guest here, I'm going to ask you to stay over here. You guys, I'm so sorry. You guys are going through what you're going through, but I need you guys to just, wait over here. We're going to get non-emergency police involved here. We're going to get statements taken and everything, and we're going to smooth everything out. This girl stayed at this hotel apparently on the 23rd of December. This father and son combo, they were at this hotel as of the 26th. Okay, so boo-boo honey child, you were last there on the 23rd. All right, so 24, 25, so essentially 3 days have passed. And you just now realized, oh shit, my phone. I don't know where my phone is. Good God Almighty, where the fuck is my phone? So you just decide, okay, you know what? The first fucking people I see, I'm just gonna, hey, that's my phone. I mean, do you know how stupid that sounds, people? Like seriously, do you know how fucking stupid that sounds? Everybody and their mother is going out there. They're buying the latest phones that's out there on the market and all that other shit. And I love the fact that you could see, or rather hear the dad in this video say to her, you need to turn on your iPhone function. You need to go grab that app and you need to turn on the iPhone function. Find my iPhone. And she goes, I don't have it on. It's like, okay, whose fault is that? Seriously, whose fault is that? So you take it upon yourself to harass somebody. I'm going to look past the whole race thing for a hot second. Let's just deal with the fact that, hey, that model, that phone model, it looks like mine. That's got to be my phone. First of all, do you know how stupid that fucking sounds? Especially when you have no definitive proof. Yeah, that manager and the way he conducted that business was totally wrong. He was totally wrong on so many fucking levels. Because, you know, if that would have been me, that would have been on duty, I would have done exactly what I said to you guys earlier on how things should have been handled. And then I also would have had the fucking common sense to go, ma'am, we can easily solve this very, very quick, because no, they are in the right. They don't need to turn that phone over to you whatsoever. They don't need to let you see that phone at all. So you need to wait right there, or we will get you trespassed and we will have you be arrested. You need to mellow the fuck out. Okay, you guys are saying this is your phone? Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I've got my phone on me right now. And sir, if you don't mind, could you tell me the phone number for that phone so that I can call it? That's how we can solve this right now. And as soon as I would have called that 14-year-old kid's phone with my phone, that would have made her shut the fuck up and go have a seat somewhere. But particularly not at that hotel. Go take your dumb, stupid shit elsewhere. But wait, people, this story gets even more fucking cooler. By the way, the jazz musician that I'm talking about, jazz trumpeter Keon Harold. I just feel for him, his son particularly. I mean, I can only imagine how traumatizing of an experience that was for his son. Bad enough in this country, being black, you gotta have that talk of this is what you do when you're behind the car. This is what you do when you see that the police are following you and they turn on their headlights. This is how you conduct yourself to make sure that you're able to get home in one piece, alive and well. It's bad enough blacks in America have to deal with that, right? But now, apparently, even if you're staying at a nice 5-star hotel, everybody should be treated equally the same way. You're a guest, right? You're a guest at this hotel. Everybody's treated the same way. Immaculate rooms, top-notch professional customer service, whole 9 yards. Nah, when it gets right down to the heart of the matter, this black family, the shits as far as customer service. They were given the shits. And this fucking broad, this I'm gonna call it how I see it, this racist broad gets preferential treatment. Bullshit. The story gets even funnier. Not that it was ever funny, but you get what I'm saying. An Uber driver. So apparently this dumb broad rode with Uber. And the Uber driver was nice enough to return the phone at this particular hotel. So she got reunited with her phone thanks to this Uber driver. Thus, once again, the phone she was looking at initially in the hands of this black kid It was never hers to begin with. This hotel did absolutely nothing. They tried to sweep everything under the rug and everything. And it wasn't until the Harold family reached out to their lawyer, got in contact with the news media and everything, calling for a civil rights investigation into the Arlo Hotel for its implicit bias in its treatment of the teen. It would not be until Arlo Hotel decides, oh, we kind of need to get in front of this because it's making us look bad on so many levels. And what's the statement that they put out there? They don't apologize directly to the family. They've got the contact information from when that family stayed. Do you think they have the common decency to reach out to the family first? What can we do to make things right? Blah, 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 blah. No, they put out some weak ass, half ass, weak dick of a statement on Instagram just to try to look face. Nah, damage, it's already been done. Damage has already been done. Yeah, they put out this fucking weak ass statement saying, and I quote, "We're deeply disheartened about the recent incident of baseless accusation, prejudice, and assault against an innocent guest of Arlo Hotel." This is what they said on Facebook and Instagram, basically. Yeah. Fuck you. Fuck your fucking statement. You can just shove it up your ass. That doesn't mean a goddamn thing. Look, let me tell you something. Arlo Hotel, they need to do the right thing. Normally, I would be down for better training, more hands-on training. I would be down for shit like that. But in this particular instance, that manager came off very incompetent. And you know what? The manager may not be racist. He may not be racist. And I'm not defending him. He may not be racist. But the actions that he took on this particular day sure as hell made him come off racist. If he didn't come off racist, he sure as hell came off like, let me be the white knight in shiny armor for this dame in distress. Maybe if I'm lucky, maybe I might get her phone number and hit that ass later. It's either one or the other. One or the other, right? That's real talk. That's how you got to fucking look at it. But we can all be in agreement. The way that this manager fucking handled this whole ordeal, I'm sorry, look. I don't like saying this person needs to be fired. You hear me say all the time. Last thing I want to do is see a person, no job, like, especially during the holidays. I don't want to see that happen. But in this particular case, no. Based on his actions, he's done more than enough to get himself fired. And I don't feel sorry about it. He needs to fucking go. He needs to fucking go. I've stayed at some of the finest hotels over the years. I've never, ever heard of anything quite like this before as far as poor customer service. Never heard anything like that before. And if you're keeping track, this is the second time that in regards to New York, this is the second time that essentially a white person has gone the racial route of prematurely judging a person of color in a negative light, committing a action of a crime, so to speak. This is like the second highest profile, if you will, of an incident like this that's occurred. The first one, if you guys recall, there was a Karen that was at Central Park, and she called the cops on the black guy just for the black guy saying, hey, you got to make sure that you have your dog on a leash there with, COVID and all that running around. And she had a fucking mental breakdown. You just felt sorry for that poor dog, the way she eventually put the leash on the dog, and she is just, that dog was fucking choking. It was the saddest fucking thing. And I'm a big animal lover, especially a dog owner. You guys see pictures of my dog from time to time. I just furious with the way she was doing that dog. And I was happy to hear that, because I think she got that dog from a forever shelter or something like that. That shelter stepped in and actually, nah, we're gonna take the dog away from you, and rightfully so. That's exactly how they need to fucking do it. That's exactly how they need to fucking do it. It's fucking sad when you hear stuff like this. It's fucking sad. Because even if you don't want to go the race route, which is kind of hard in this particular story, it's kind of hard to not touch it. It still comes down to customer service. You remember the story I told you guys a couple of weeks ago about the classic episode of Law and Order I had watched with the late Gregory Hines? Remember that? And I was telling you guys how towards the end, when he was talking to the jury, trying to do his very best to get his client off for shooting a cop. You know, he basically told a story about, hey, I'm a lawyer. I've been studying law for blah, blah, blah years. I wear the finest suits. You know, I live, you know, in Manhattan. I got a nice home. And man, my friend, who's also a lawyer, he's white. You know, we always eat together, blah, 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 blah. Remember that story? They're at the food truck. There was one Danish left. Gregory Hines wanted it. His white friend wanted it. And the frickin' food truck vendor guy gave the Danish to his white friend. And he still kind of felt, man, all the education that I got, all of this, all of that. And when it came right down to it, race was still a factor. And something as little and silly as getting the last Danish. Right? So, yeah, I'm just disgusted when I hear something like that. So, yeah, man, if you guys got some people that's in the New York area, make sure you fucking stay clear of Arlo. Spread the news on that. Fuck that Arlo chain. If that's how they're going to be treating their guests, I mean, that is just shit poor. Also, from a security standpoint, I mean, my God, I can't end this without also just talking about it from a security standpoint, that you had somebody run in there like that. You were there on the 23rd. 3 days later, and you resurface, you don't have the common sense to, and I don't know, maybe she did, but you don't have the common sense to call the hotel and say, hey, this is what happened, blah, 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 blah. You know, in case somebody does turn my phone in, could you guys do me a huge favor? And could you guys call me, you know, at this particular number? You know, and the fact that this woman has not yet issued an apology to this family, trust me, I'm not going to feel sorry for her if eventually the law does catch up to her. And yeah, whatever they can fucking get on her, they need to fucking get it on her. Just simply due to the fact that, I don't know, she assaulted a kid. How about that? How about that for starters? Let's fucking start with that. Heads up. Get back into a little bit more wrestling news. Jazz. How many of you guys remember Jazz? Jazz posted on social media this week that she's now taking bookings for her retirement tour, which is going to go through 2021. So, those of you that are interested in booking her for your Fed, make sure you get at her. She's on Twitter at Phenom_Jazz. Again, Phenom_Jazz. You Roku fans that's out there, make sure you check out MLW. MLW has been added to the Roku channel. I have been watching MLW a bit more now that they're back into rotation. So in the coming year, I'll definitely be talking a lot more about them. So tune in for that. Also, let's talk about the Slammy Awards. We didn't do that yet. I have yet to talk with you guys about the Slammy Award winners. So let's see here. Let me look here. The Slammy Award winners. And I'll let you go. I'll let you guys know whether or not I agree with these winners. So let me see here. Because I remember when they were promoting it last week, correct me if I'm wrong, Wednesday at 10 a.m., it had came on, and it's like, yeah, I don't know about that, dog. All right, so let's see what we got here. So, Superstar of the Year, your categories were Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, Braun Strowman, The Fiend Bray Wyatt, Asuka, Sasha Banks, Bayley, Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair. Just through process of elimination, oh, excuse me, I do not mean no yawn there. Just by process of elimination, we can take out Becky Lynch. I mean, she really didn't last that long in 2020 once it was revealed she was pregnant and all that. So we could pretty much take her out. Charlotte Flair pretty much disappeared after a couple of months there, a little bit shortly after WrestleMania there, if I remember right. So you could take out Charlotte. You could take out Sasha Banks. Asuka was only good for a particular quarter during WWE. Quarter meaning 3 months, so I don't know about that. Braun Strowman, nah, they never really. Couple of cool spots here and there, but nothing really, no. Randy Orton, it's a good pick. For your winner. He's a good pick. The Fiend Bray Wyatt, there was a period there where there was cold. There's a lot of coldness there with Bray Wyatt. Wasn't always on a hot streak of all of 2020. So you know what? If it were to come down to, I'm looking at Drew McIntyre now. No, I would not. No. I think, respectfully, it would come down to Roman Reigns, Bayley, Randy Orton. I think those would be, those would be your three, I think. So the fact that Drew McIntyre was the winner for Superstar of the Year, nah, I don't agree with that. I think Roman Reigns, Bayley for sure, one of those two. If I had to throw a third one in there, I would throw Randy Orton in there. Some of you guys may actually say, nah, I wouldn't even put Orton in there. I would actually show more love to The Fiend just for the quality of work. You know, maybe if you even wanted to go with the Firefly segments and all that other shit, I could even see you guys if you wanted to make an argument for The Fiend. No way did Drew have any business winning. If you wanted to nominate him, that's one thing, but for him to actually win it, nah. All right, match of the year. Here were the candidates. Undertaker versus AJ Styles, Boneyard match, WrestleMania 36. New Day versus The Hurt Business, Raw Tag Team Championship match, November 16th, 2020. Hey, that was a damn good match. Edge versus Orton, the greatest wrestling match ever, WWE Backlash 2020. No, we can eliminate that one off the break. Men's Royal Rumble match, Royal Rumble 2020. No, that was more cool because of a moment. No, eliminate that. AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan, Intercontinental Championship Tournament Finals, SmackDown, June 12th, 2020. That was actually a damn good match. Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso, Universal Championship, Hell in a Cell I Quit match, Hell in a Cell 2020. That was a damn good one. Sasha Banks versus Bayley, SmackDown Women's Championship, Hell in a Cell match from Hell in a Cell 2020. That was a damn good one. AJ Styles versus Sami Zayn versus Jeff Hardy, Intercontinental Triple Threat match, WWE Clash of Champions. No. Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns, Survivor Series 2020. No. Becky Lynch versus Asuka, Royal Rumble 2020. No. So Taker, AJ, Boneyard. I'm trying to get it down to the final three. For sure. New Day versus Hurt Business. Yes. Let's see. Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso. Yes. Honorable mention AJ versus Daniel Bryan. Intercontinental Championship Tournament Finals. I almost want to give an honorable mention to Sasha and Bayley too, but I'm gonna stop at 4. I'm gonna stop it at 4. Match of the year. Match of the year. As good as Undertaker versus AJ was for the Boneyard, it technically wasn't a match. It was more of a cinematic action of storytelling. That's the right way we can put that. So I actually would eliminate that, and in its spot, I actually would put Sasha and Bayley in its place. So for me, I think the winner of that one should have been man, that is a tough one. That is a tough one. Ah, man. Oh, you also had hang on a second. No, I mentioned that. I mentioned that as well. Yeah, I would have went with Roman versus Jey Uso. Universal Championship, Hell in a Cell, I Quit. Because I just remember how ecstatic and energetic everybody was after they saw that match. And I think I came on that very same post show and I was like, the era of unhinged Roman Reigns has begun. I think I would have given it to Roman and Jay. The fact that Undertaker and AJ won for match of the year, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. But I think any one of those 4 that I homed in on, I think any fan would have been okay with it. All right, rivalry of the year: Seth Rollins versus the Mysterio family, Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton, Edge versus Randy Orton, Sasha Banks versus Bayley, R-Truth versus The World, Lana versus Announcer Tables. Rollins versus the Mysterio family was only good those first couple of months because Dominic Mysterio's cherry was getting popped before our very eyes. We all were loving it. It started to get diluted with the addition of Mama Mysterio, Aaliyah Mysterio. Then we put Murphy in there. It was just too much seasoning in the freaking stew, and you just messed up the whole damn recipe as a result. So not everything was banging about that rivalry. So to the point, rivalry of the year, no. McIntyre versus Orton. No. Sasha versus Bayley, I think, should have won. The fact that it went to Edge and Orton, I'm a little surprised at that. Because for years, fans had been wanting to see Sasha Banks versus Bayley, going as far as to say, Sasha, Bayley, WrestleMania, let's fucking make it happen already. So the fact that 2020 finally saw us fans get treated to a rivalry between Sasha and Bayley, you could essentially make the argument this was kind of years in the making. I'm a bit surprised that for rivalry of the year, it actually didn't go to Sasha and Bayley. Don't get me wrong, what Edge and Orton were doing was fantastic storytelling, but you already had something essentially brewing in the works there, just from a subliminal standpoint when you really step back and think about it between Sasha and Bayley. So, Tag Team of the Year, the Golden Role Models, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, we can just eliminate them off the break. New Day. New Day was sidelined for a bit. 1 minute, didn't have Kofi. Next minute, didn't have Xavier. Next minute, you didn't have Big E. So, eliminate New Day as well. Nakamura and Cesaro, like Groundhog's Day. 1 minute they're on SmackDown, then you don't see them again for several weeks. So a bit of inconsistency there as far as attendance in 2020 of Nakamura and Cesaro. So I would actually eliminate them as well. So for me, it's down to the Golden Role Models and the Street Profits. I actually, Jesus Christ, this is a tough one, and here's why it's tough. It's tough because the Golden Role Models, there were rarely that many tag teams that they went against. And you could almost kind of say the same thing for the Street Profits. I don't think Street Profits should have won. I think... Oh, man, this is a tricky one. Yeah, I'm really leaning towards the Golden Role Models. I think Golden Role Models... Yeah, but they weren't... See, the only problem with the Golden Role Models, they really weren't defending the tag titles like that, were they? They just pretty much had them, and maybe during their run, maybe 2, maybe 3 title defenses, pretty much. And the tag team was a little bit short-lived, wasn't it? When it's all said and done, whereas Street Profits were together a bit longer. If you want to say for Tag Team of the Year, Street Profits, okay. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Return of the Year, Edge, Roman Reigns, MVP, Goldberg, Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn, love you, bud? No. Goldberg, we've seen you return before. No. Edge, it was great seeing him. We didn't think it would ever happen. That was great. But then to finally see unhinged Roman Reigns. This is where I'm definitely parting ways with a lot of people. My return of the year would actually go to MVP. And I can easily explain why without being too long-winded. MVP would get the nod for me because when MVP first came back, MVP looked very outdated. Very outdated. And you're going, my God, how are we supposed to make this MVP? And the last time we saw him was in the mid-2000s for the WWE. And if you were fortunate enough and you made your rounds checking out other wrestling promotions, you knew he was active in other promotions, but still you're going, okay, how are we supposed to take, this MVP and try to make him fit in today's modern WWE? And he struggled there big time for those first couple of months. And then once he started to get intertwined there with Lashley, Lana, you're going, wait a minute, there might be something here. There might be something special here. And just to see the domino effect of that and what would ultimately become the Hurt Business, you want to talk about a good return of the year. Looking at the profound impact that MVP has been able to have on guys like Shelton Benjamin, Lashley, Cedric Alexander. He has really taken these guys to another level and himself as well. I just complimented this man, I think, if not last week, the week before. I said, with what he has continued to do, he has essentially become a Black Paul Heyman And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, as far as one of the best talkers on the mic goes, MVP is one of those guys. In the ring, he can still hang with some of the best of them, without a doubt. Without a doubt. But where he shines the most is giving him that microphone and just that mad swag that he just oozes consistently. And you just look at the domino effect from a character development standpoint that he's been able to have rub off eventually on Cedric. I can't believe I almost forgot about Shelton Benjamin because I didn't mention his name before. But just, I mean, go back. I mean, you want to talk about most profound impact as far as return of the year. MVP definitely should have gotten that as far as I'm concerned. If you didn't want to give it to MVP and you wanted to give it to Roman Reigns, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But for me, MVP. Ring gear of the year. Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, Seth Rollins, New Day, Bianca Belair, Nakamura, Carmella. New Day winning this, I have no problem with New Day winning this. New Day seems like every time you turn around, week in, week out, pay-per-views, they're always dressing up, doing something totally fucking cool. Yeah, I think that was the right move. Breakout star of the year. Again, breakout star of the year. Dominic Mysterio, Bianca Belair, Otis, Street Profits, Murphy. All right, this is rather easy for me. Murphy, no. Otis, no. You know, Bianca Belair, inconsistent. She pops up on Raw. She's there for a couple of weeks. Then they have her disappear. Then pretty much the next time we see Bianca Belair, she's pretty much gotten drafted to SmackDown. So as far as that whole breakout star of the year, I mean, it's nice that she was on the list, but as far as I always say to you guys, quality over quantity. In this particular case, I'm definitely looking at the quantity of that quantity of that quality. Try saying that 10 times fast. I'm looking at the quality in the quantity, and there wasn't enough quantity there for Bianca Belair. So even if I would love to give her a breakout star of the year, there just wasn't enough for her. So no, gotta eliminate her. I don't agree with Street Profits. Looks like Street Profits won that. I don't agree with that. I think Dominic Mysterio should have gotten that. So many of my fellow colleagues in the podcasting world, definitely in the forums, a lot of people had really turned in favor for Dominic Mysterio. You want to talk about a guy that was really earning his stripes the hard way, really being broken in to the WWE universe, really properly being introduced to fans and earning his stripes as a wrestler and everything. Having Rey Mysterio there by his side, having Seth in there, and looking at some of those matches that Dominic had on Raw, looking at what he did during some of those pay-per-view bouts, I would say as far as a breakout star of the year, Dominic definitely. Female superstar of the year, Asuka, Sasha Banks, Bayley, Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair. Hands down, Bayley. Bayley, from the moment that she turned, I mean, she had the whole WWE fan base eating out of the palm of her hands. Asuka was hot there for a good minute. Once again, she was only hot for a particular period of time. It only lasted a couple of months for her, but Bayley's run, when you look back on 2020, I mean, as far as most impressive runs in 2020, Bayley for sure. Again, Becky out majority of 2020. Charlotte out for several months. Yeah, Bayley should have gotten that. Male Superstar of the Year. Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, Braun Strowman, The Fiend Bray Wyatt, Roman Reigns. I think Roman Reigns, hands down. They gave it to Drew. I mean, I kind of think that's a no-brainer that they were going to give it to Drew. I don't think as far as male superstar of the year, well, there wasn't really that much of a selection, was there? You know, it's either you or nothing. You know, you can pretty much look at Drew as the COVID champion for 2020 when it's all said and done. But if you want to talk about male superstar of the year, yeah, I would have to go with Roman Reigns. Moment of the year, The Undertaker's Final Farewell, Survivor Series 2020. Drew McIntyre defeats Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship, WrestleMania 36. Becky Lynch announces her pregnancy. Edge returns in the Men's Royal Rumble match. The New Day's farewell address. Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman unite. Bayley betrays Sasha Banks. New Day gets drafted to different brands. We're going to part ways on this one. Most people are going to say Undertaker's Final Farewell. Here's the thing. We got teased with this a couple of times by Undertaker over the years. And the biggest fucking payoff, you newer listeners won't remember this. You won't even know this. But when me and the missus were reviewing Undertaker, The Last Ride documentary, when we reviewed the whole 5-part series, when we got done reviewing part 4, I said to Tams, I said, okay, so what would you expect to happen from the 5th and final episode? And you guys that are our Patreon members, you know this, you can back me up. Tams went on record and said, I would not be surprised if on the final episode, Undertaker announced his retirement. And to that I say, wait, you really think that something that big, that they're going to save it for the last ride? And she said, yeah, why not? This is his story that he's telling in his own words, on his terms. Why not do it this way? And sure enough, go to that 5th episode. That's where he made the announcement. And you just couldn't help but at that point go, well, all right. It's kind of interesting how we stumbled upon this, but well, all right. And I'll never forget something that she said to me after the fact. I remember we reminisced about it afterwards, after seeing Undertaker's farewell at Survivor Series. Okay, so he basically just comes out, hey, thanks, and that's pretty much it. Like, you know, on the one hand, you're going, okay, this was Vince McMahon wanting to have that moment where, hey, let's really make sure that the WWE universe properly is able to have a good send-off for you, that they're properly able to say goodbye to you. You know, thank you for your contributions and everything. But something that's always stuck with me that she said, you know, and I've heard this a lot of times from other Undertaker fans, it should have just ended with Last Ride, him announcing his retirement on Last Ride. If you want to have it in there, and you want to do the follow-up with Stone Cold on Broken Skull Sessions, that's fine. But to have him dress up, do all that stuff, go in the ring one more time, we've seen that quite a few times. Last Ride was perfect. It was perfect the way everything was just put together and everything. So, you know, if that final farewell would have been the very first thing, because remember, we saw Taker on an episode of Raw tease retirement. We've seen the teasing of retirement a few times by Taker, dressed in full gear and all over the years, and you just get null after a while. I think if they wouldn't have kept spamming it out the way they did over the years, for me at least, it would have had much more of a profound impact this go around, seeing that final farewell at Survivor Series. So for me, that wouldn't have been my winner. As apparently that was the winner. That would not have been my winner. I actually would have gone with Edge. I'm giving you two picks. I actually would have gone with Edge returning in the Royal Rumble match. Nobody saw that coming. Nobody. I remember screaming at the top of my lungs when I heard that fucking "you think you know me," you know, and Edge coming out and shit, and just feeding off of that crowd energy that night. And my God, you talk about a high. And I hadn't felt that type of a wrestling high in years. In years. Shocking, especially considering everything that had happened with that man physically and yeah, I remember the night after that WrestleMania when Edge retired so suddenly. I remember bawling like a baby. My girl bawled like a baby too, because she was an Edge fan. That was just so heartbreaking to watch. And basically all those years later to see him pop up in the Royal Rumble match. Yeah, as far as moment of the year, Edge should have gotten that. If you did not want to give that nod to Edge, then I would say moment of the year, Bayley betraying Sasha Banks. Bayley betraying Sasha Banks for sure, because that was the beginning, you know, of, okay, we finally got this feud. We're finally getting it. And we saw that next layer peeled off of heel Becky. I'm sorry, of heel Bayley. So yeah, those would have been the two. Most creative 24/7 pin. Really recreated a whole category just for this. Drew Gulak in a janitor outfit. Okay. Musical performance of the year, Elias. Well, when there's nobody else, yeah, sure. Social media superstar of the year, apparently that went to Bayley. Yeah, she's been pretty damn good on social media. I'll give her that. Trash talker of the year, Lacey Evans and the Hurt Business. Okay, sure, whatever. WWE Network documentary of the year, Undertaker Last Ride was the winner. I got no problem with that, but what were some of the other documentaries that were mentioned? That's my whole thing. Well, I guess you can make the argument, well, Lee, does it really matter? No, because that fucking documentary on Undertaker was fucking gold. So much so. Hang on a second. Here we go. So much so, I actually had got one from the family for Christmas. And sadly, it does not have bonus stuff on it. It's actually the Blu-ray that's got bonus hours of some content. This just pretty much has the 5-part episode. That's basically it. If you guys recall, because we were on top of this when it first came out, the good folks over in the UK, they got it first, and it was on Blu-ray. And then a month later, US would get the copy that I got right now. So what I don't know right now, so shout out to listeners in the UK, what I don't know right now is if the version that our UK fans have across the pond, if their versions would play on USA regional DVD, Xbox consoles, and all of that. That's what I don't necessarily know. I'll be finding out very, very soon, though, because I'm actually supposed to be putting in an order for the Blu-ray version. So I'll let you guys know. Celebrity appearance of the year, Rob Gronkowski. Celebrity apprentice, huh? Celebrity appearance. Celebrity appearance of the year. I don't know about Rob. I'm just thinking about other celebrities. Why not Tyson Fury? I thought Tyson Fury was, well, I guess we can all be in agreement. No fucking Cain Velasquez, huh? Double cross of the year. Bailey? Yeah, for sure, Bailey. Really? Referee of the year? I'm gonna pretend I didn't see that category. Looks like that's pretty much all the winners there. Just make sure I'm not missing anything. Yeah, that's pretty much all the categories. Yeah, so definitely different as far as my take on who should have won and all that. I think the only thing I agreed with them on, just going back here, I think the only thing I agreed with them on was Street Profits. Hang on. Looks like I agreed with them on Street Profits for Tag Team of the Year, I think it was. And hang on. There's one other category I agreed with them on. Yeah, Tag Team of the Year, that's correct. Ring Gear of the Year for New Day. And that Undertaker Last Ride. Just look here. I mean, that double cross of the year for Bailey, that's a fucking no-brainer. Like that's a fucking no-brainer. So yeah, I only agree with them in a couple of categories there. So not bad. Not bad. I would say good list. Shout out to those of you that were able to watch that in real time from 10 a.m. last Wednesday to however long it had fucking went, right? Crazy. Let's see. Other than that, just trying to see if there's some other wrestling news we might be able to get into as we get ready to wind it down here. How long we been recording now here? Let me just see how long we've been on the air. Okay, yeah, we're pretty much relatively done here. So hang on a second. Let me just see if there's some other stuff we can get into real quick here. No, there's a couple of other little tidbits that we could get into, but what I'm going to end up doing, I'm going to actually hold off on that. And so this is the plan. I will do a pre-recorded show. I'll do one more show for you guys. It'll be available on the mainstream, meaning you'll be able to download it, listen to it on demand for free on all the outlets. And what we'll do is the coverage of this week's AEW and NXT. But I definitely want to talk about that tribute show for Brodie Lee. So look out for that. That will be available on demand and on the downloads for you guys. And we'll also go a little bit more all over the place. We'll talk some MLW. We'll definitely talk some Ring of Honor as well. So peep that out. And look, you guys, if you want more episodes like that particular one that's going to be dropping this week, you just got to make sure you show the love. When you see it in the feeds, scoop it up, download it, listen to it on demand, sound off throughout social media. Because as far as 2021 goes, we're definitely going to be doing some tweaks here and there with the programming. Nothing too extreme, but I definitely, as far as 2021 goes, I want to get it off and running, making sure that as far as content, what you guys want on a regular basis, I have a good idea what you guys want. And yeah, we don't really need to do that. You know what I'm saying? But look, as I get ready to wrap this up, look, we can all be in agreement. 2020, what a fascinating year. What a fascinating year. What a crazy ass year that it's been. We'd be here all night just going through all the people that died along the way. Nothing is ever more precious than when a life is lost. And yes, many celebrities across all industries passed away this year. And the last thing I want for anybody to do is say, well, what about this person? Yeah, but this person passed. Yeah, but hey, this person passed. Look, nothing can compare to the thousands upon thousands upon thousands of those in our country that lost a loved one due to COVID. So, in some shape or form, 2020 has seen a family devastated in the most unfortunate way. On top of that, a lot of people, as far as jobs go, their career path, it got tore up. Their whole world just got flipped upside down. People that had good, steady jobs, that were working in the respected field that they were in, could no longer work in that respected field and had to try to figure out, okay, what am I going to do for money? How am I going to be able to support my family? So, we saw many. I'm sure you all have your stories, somebody you know, a loved one, what have you. We saw many people doing their very best to try to stay afloat this year. 2020 was definitely the most trying, the most, as far as tests go, of a person's patience, how much are they willing to endure? This was definitely the year that tested a lot of people. Relationships definitely got tested. No doubt about it. Friendships, marriages, you name it. A lot of shit got tested this year. So as we go into these final days of 2020, I want all of you to keep in mind that we all have definitely been going through this struggle that we've been going through this year. No doubt about that. And together, we all are definitely going to bounce back from this. It's going to take some time, without a doubt. It's going to take some time. But let me tell you something. I remember living through 9/11 when it first went down. I wasn't sure how we were going to be able to come back together again as a nation, but man, as the days turned into weeks and it progressed with 9/11, it was beautiful how we all just came together, under that flag, and you saw some of the most kindest acts of generosity that was going around. And I remember saying to my friends and family so many years later, damn, it sucked that something like 9/11 had to happen to humble so many of us in this country and, really get back to what this country and its founders, get back to what makes us America. But like with this pandemic and the lives that were lost and the financial hardship that we've all been experiencing this year, we're definitely going to be able to bounce back from this. And we're all going to be able to do it together. I do still believe in us. I still believe in this country. And we'll remember this moment. And as a result of this moment, it's something that we'll take with us for the rest of our lives. We'll be passing this down to our children. They'll pass it down to their children. And trust me when I say that the only thing that can come out of this as far as a positive thing, we will grow even stronger as a nation because of this. And yeah, if you think that's a bit too much optimism, you might be right. I might be a little bit too optimistic, but 2021 is around the corner. From my family to yours, a happy new year. If you are going to be going out and celebrating the new year, please do it safe. Don't drink and drive. Can't stress it enough. Do not drink and drive. Make plans ahead of time. Make plans ahead of time. If you know you're going to be drinking, don't even bother taking that car. If you're going to take that car, but you haven't had a drink as you're getting ready to get behind that wheel, do the next best thing. Leave that car parked wherever it is. Trust it with your best friend. Make sure they do not give you those keys until the next day after you've sobered up and all that shit. Just ain't worth it. I want to hear that you guys are doing okay in 2021 and that you came out all right. So don't drink and drive. All right. Everybody else, you aren't going to be celebrating. You got different plans. Hey, much love to you as always. Definitely, before I end this show, I definitely want to give a shout out to you, our listeners, the support that you've continued to give this show on a week in, week out basis, because of listeners like you, subscribers like you. I honestly just would not be doing this show. That's the God's the honest truth. And I take great comfort in knowing that you guys have come to not just appreciate me, but respect me and you know, Lee, he's all right. You know, he's good, steady hand. I appreciate that. Especially when you let me know on social media and you leave the rating and reviews. It's comforting. I will say that it's comforting. I definitely appreciate you guys welcoming me into your homes every single week. Work, you're at school, whatever's going on with you. Just the fact that you welcome me into your ears, your mind every week. I always appreciate that. Always. And definitely want to give shout outs to the following people. Anthony Missionary Thomas of Wrestling Suit. My brother in arms. Love the guy tremendously. Anytime I need to pick his brain on something or, you know, just shoot the shit, as far as one of my biggest supporters and what I do on a weekly basis, I have that in him. And so shout out to you, buddy. Hello. Shout out to Anthony DeBlasi, Don Tony. Shout out to him. You know, here I am. I've been doing this since 2011. All these years later, here I am. I'm still doing this. I'm still having fun. I'm still finding this entertaining on so many levels. The fact that I'm not just settling on my laurels. You know, if I were to just settle on what I have, I wouldn't be evolving at all. I would just be in the same, you know, and I owe a lot of that to DT, believe it or not. He actually was one of the main drives that got me into the podcasting world in the first place, believe it or not. So appreciate him and the wisdom that he always bestills upon me. Definitely appreciate that. Definitely want to take the time out and say thanks to my good friends at Fight TV. They have been a great partner to have these past almost 2 years now. And trust me, pretty soon, I'm toying around with the idea, but I think with regards to 2021, I think we will begin to do exclusive stuff for Fight TV that you'll only be able to see on Fight TV. I just got to figure out exactly what that could be, the length of it and everything. But they have been awesome partners in distributing our content. Also, when we decide we want to do some really cool contests, they've helped us out numerous times. They've been a great fucking partner. So definitely appreciate them. To everybody that was a advertiser of ours in 2020, whether you worked with us on one show, you worked with us on multiple shows, you worked with us for several months, to the many sponsors that we've been fortunate enough to have come on board this year. Thank you. We made a lot of friends as far as ad spots and sponsors and all that goes. And there's a lot of folks that, I love the content, keep it coming. Lot of regulars. I'm telling you, from the moment that I got into this crazy world of podcasting and really started picking up the groove around like 2015, we've pretty much had essentially the same roundabout sponsors, but within the past 4 years, we've gotten, every time we turn around, new clients. So to everybody that particularly worked with us in 2020, there's a lot of new people too. Much love. Appreciate you all as always. Definitely want to say a big shout out to my family, with my woman being at the very top. It's not easy. It's not easy saying, okay, I got to do this show. Hey, I got this pay-per-view, and it's a sacrifice, because whatever I had planned with the family, sadly, it has to take a back seat because I'm doing something show related, or I'm doing something for a client. I got to record some ads. I got to record some jingles or something like that. So to my family, definitely, their patience has been a virtue. And without that, I don't know where I'd be right now. So I definitely appreciate the family's patience with this. I'm looking forward to 2021. I think 2021 is going to be the most historic and the most rewarding year yet. Finally going to be tying the knot in 2021. I'm going back to college in January for my degree in broadcast media, covering TV and radio. So I'm looking forward to the future. I can't wait to see what's in store for me, and what's in store for the next evolution of this show that we do for you guys every single week. And with that, I'm going to say, as I always close out the show, I wish for all of you all to be safe, and most importantly, be kind to one another. I will see you all next go round, or in this particular case, I will see you all in 2021. Y'all do take care. Good night. Be well.